Hey, hey, hey. Hey, okay. Out to the pay, for the grass is always greener. I don't do no labels, I call it how I see it. Okay, out to the pay, for the grass is always greener. I don't do no labels, I call it how I see it.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of No Label, the podcast. Here, my boy Nell.
Yo.
Special shout outs to everybody that's been subscribed on YouTube, liking, commenting, sharing, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Go ahead and head over to nolabelthepod.com. See everything that we've been up to, everything that we plan on being up to in the future. Nell, go ahead, get a little rundown.
Please, yes. Let's sign up for that newsletter. It's coming out about every other week. Keep you updated on everything that's No Label, everything that's coming, and all the great guests that we've been having. We appreciate y'all's support. And today, we are sitting with an amazing. We sat with her first time at Buffalo, and it was just a wealth of information, and it was just a great embodiment of Buffalo art culture. And it's only right that we do the full sit down. So many things have gotten better since then, and we're sitting with the amazing Chantel
Lynette.
We're sitting.
Say it with me.
We're sitting with Chantel Lynette, also known as the Bag Lady.
What's good, y'all? Thank you for having me in the studio.
Anytime.
I know the last time we sat down together, we were on high chairs out at Central Terminal.
In the hot ass sun,
Sweating.
You know what I mean? I had just cut my hair. We was out there.
Oh,
cooking.
yeah.
I think that was the start of my locks. So you caught me at the start of the journey. Now we midway in now. So
Oh, yeah, we love it.
It's
Got
time.
Hang time going, yeah.
Listen, when one of these joints touched my shoulder, I turned around and looked at my dude like, babe, I'm finna start acting different.
Rightfully so. You hit your ear, you kind of good with it. Think somebody touch you. Oh, man. So we love to start off from the beginning. And born and raised in Buffalo?
Buffalo bred.
Buffalo. Well, like around what side of town?
I'm kind of like a melting pot. So I stayed in the house with my grandparents for a very long time. That was Central Park. And being in the house with my mom, that was Bailey. It was Bailey and Hewitt. I remember when the firehouse on Hewitt was a McDonald's.
Yeah. Had the barbershop across the street, G's barbershop. Yeah,
So I remember when there was a bridge on Kensington. No, I got a picture of it. I have to send it to
send
you.
that to me, please.
Because
I'm going to say, I don't remember
where
that.
William Gator is and all of that, there used to, it literally used to be a bridge that would connect Central Park to Bailey. And every summer at the end of this hill, at the corner like Northumberland and Kensington, there used to be this little podunk carnival that used to pop up. This is the reason why I don't trust carnival rides to this day, because how you just pull a roller coaster out of suitcase.
Literally.
But
fact.
yeah, so that was like the childhood memory, and there's only a handful of people that remember the carnival or the bridge itself.
It's needed because we're losing recipes. We losing recipes.
Yes.
And it's like I drive because like I grew up on Hewitt, and I recently moved back, so it's like I'm seeing it now, and I'm like, man, if nobody remembers this, it's kind of like
it never happened.
It's like
which end of Hewitt were you on?
Closer to Eggert.
You were down by my dad then. Crazy part, I lived at one end of the street and my father lived at the other end. So my dad stayed in the 500 block and I stayed at 90. So
okay. Oh yeah.
I would get mad at my mom and be like, I'm going to my dad's house.
Yeah. The longest haul.
Stomp down the street. But that's where my brother and my sister were down there too. So you may know them. Massey's, they were. Alexis and Gregory.
Yes. Girl,
Those are, That's my brother and that's my sister. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes.
I was in the house playing. Like Greg had all the games.
and still does. Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's but small world.
Yeah,
small world.
Those are my babies. When I claim them.
That's so cool. So boom, growing up over there, I'm familiar with that area, of course, and we know how active it can be, just like that Hewitt area. And the high school you went to, you said you went to Sacred Heart.
Yes.
Was it a culture shock going into there? Or?
A little bit. So for grammar school, I went to City Honors. So melting pot, all different walks of life, all different types of personalities and individuals. Because of course, City Honors, you had to test in to come in and be a student in the school. So transitioning over to Sacred Heart, I had some interactions and some experiences, but it was going from, sitting in a classroom and the majority of the people to the left and to the right of me look like me, and then I become the speck in the room, So it was a difference, but I was prepared for it. And I thank my parents, for that too. They're pretty cool people.
Shout out.
They made me, so.
Yeah, yeah. That's so cool. So when you left, when you graduated from Sacred Heart, were going to take on higher education, or were you kind of like, what's your path were you deciding on?
I originally, right out the gate, traditional route. I went to Niagara, went for communications. I used that to run my mouth. But in hindsight, I honestly think I probably would have taken a gap year. If I could go back and do it all over again, just to really hone in and discover what it is that I really truly wanted to do. I'm telling my 15-year-old daughter now, you don't have to have it all figured out. We're programmed and we're pressured to know junior year, what do you want to be? And what's your major going to be? And where are you going to go to school? And at that point, you should still be exploring. You should still be figuring out what makes you tick, what makes you hum.
Absolutely.
What raises your vibration. So, she's saying I might want to take a gap year, and I'm telling her, do it.
Yeah, I always encourage it.
Do
my
it.
Students, yeah.
But make sure in that gap year that you are doing that self-reflection.
Yeah, you're being productive.
Right, and you're being productive while you're doing it, because you don't want to waste 365 days.
Yeah.
And they expect you, because I think we just talked about it on, are you familiar with Paulette?
Yes.
She's a designer, yeah. So we just talked about it with her, to where it's like they expect you to make these life-changing, crucial decisions at the age of 17 and 18.
Right.
When you've been in these confided spaces the whole time, you haven't really explored unless
you haven't experienced anything.
Yeah, unless you live like a certain kind of life at a young age, but most people haven't.
Northwest, you are not experiencing at the level that would allow you to make these types of life-altering decisions. These are the things that set the foundation for either who or what you're going to be. And at 15, 16, 17, even 18, you haven't lived enough to say, this is what I want to lock into for the rest of my life. Some people are blessed. They know, I'm going to sing. I'm going to be an artist. But the majority of us out there have to live. I had to live before I discovered my purpose. I wouldn't be who I am today had I walked out of high school and said, oh, I'm going to be a minority business advocate. Because it didn't exist. So I had to live. I had to experience in order to become what I wanted to be when I grew up. I had to create it.
For sure.
So when did you realize that you feel like you would have benefited more from taking some time off and really figuring out yourself? Like, was that once you got into college, or like later on down the line of life?
It was later on down the line. It was actually kind of really like in recent years, in discovering that a lot of what I do by way of my advocacy, community engagement, and things of that nature, they're actually more closely aligned with social work than they are with communications. And if I would have known or had that knowledge coming out of the gate, I probably would not have chosen communications as the major. I would have gone right into social work. What I'm doing on a day-to-day basis is networking and dealing with personalities and dealing with people who have different issues. And some of these people are bottling them up and some of them are letting them run over. But being able to interact with them in a healthy manner is social work. So, I definitely think I would have chosen a different major with the knowledge that I have today.
Absolutely. And with your time at City Honors, because a lot of times it's not a private school, but they because of the entrance exam, it's like
It's a school for the gifted and talented.
for sure. And with it, but not a lot of black people are there. And then with Sacred Heart, there's not a lot of black people there. At what point did you?
There's not a lot of black people at City Honors.
Not in recent years, it's changed a bit.
When I was there, it was a good mix.
Yeah, because my mom went to City Honors.
It felt like City Honors is like the Toronto of high schools. It's a
it's probably like
a
Hutch
melting
Tech.
pot.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of nationalities.
Okay.
Meet up at City Honors just because of the testing requirement. You have a lot of different individuals from different walks of life. You have individuals who come here who are honestly they're refugees and their children are savants. They are geniuses, and so they test in. And now you've got their addition to this melting pot, and then you've got the melanated population that comes in that are in the immediate area. So I think it's a pretty good mixture there,
Okay.
and it allowed for that good transition in where it wasn't like, oh my God, where's the black people?
Yeah.
When I walked in, it wasn't as much of a shock for me. It was like, oh yeah, you're gonna get here, and it's not gonna be a whole lot of black people.
Yeah.
When you walk into school.
So let me better rephrase it. So like I remember growing up, it was like kind of almost like a negative connotation on City Honors in terms of black culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's not the black school in terms like let's say McKinley or let's say
Bennett, Grover.
Burger, and it's like that was kind of looked at y'all like.
I think we've come to a point now where it's no longer happening, but for a very long time, people were associating education with
Money.
caucasity. So you're educated, you read books, you want to be white.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not my fault, that I am able to
Put together a sentence.
and that my sentence, when I put it together, it's smoother than the cream cheese you put on your bagel. That's not my fault. Don't be mad at me for that.
For sure.
But we do associate, oh, you're educated, you're well-spoken, you want to be white.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not the case. I want to sound like I know what I'm talking about when I have a conversation with someone. So when people go, oh, I went to Bennett and you went to City Honors, which means your black card isn't as black as mine. Mm-hmm. That's not the case, But people did definitely make that association. When I tell people I went to Sacred Heart and they're like, oh, you bougie. No, I'm not. I'm bougetto. Like, I'm sophisticated ratchet, right? Like I'm mild mannered, but I'll still knock all this ish over real quick. But I think it's just, think about what we were ingrained with.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't allowed to learn how to read, and learning how to read a lot of times meant maybe you were in the house. Mm-hmm. And then that's the colorism lines. You're light skinned, you were taught to read because you could pass. And so we got to think about what's the root, the true root of either the jest or the joke, and how deeply it's ingrained in us, and we don't even realize that it's generationally ingrained in us. So we say, oh, you went to City Honors, you're smart, you want to be white, and it comes from the plantation.
For sure.
We talk about our kids. Oh, your kids are so good, and our first instinct is, yeah, he good, but he's bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But we don't even realize that generationally it comes down from, if we were on the plantation and someone complimented my child, I knew that meant the next morning my child was 2 plantations over, sold. So what did I do to protect my child? I highlighted his flaws. Yes, he's big, he's strong, but he's stupid.
That's the Willie Lynch all day.
All day. You know what I'm saying? So we have to really dig deep and figure out what's the root. The root, as they would say. What's the root? And, I think that's where a lot of those things come from. It's like, oh, you're educated, and education was always equated to whiteness.
Yeah. What allowed you to maintain your integrity through all of that? Because this is a earlier time where it wasn't so much access to internet. Now we have more access to information, but back then there was a lot like that connotation, that label was hard to kind of break. In like, let's say early 2000s, you know what I'm saying? What allowed you to maintain your integrity of like Like, nah, I'm going. Yes, I'm with the bougie around the bougie black people, but I'm not forsaking the people I grew up with, my neighborhood that I grew up with.
I think it's finding kind of like a good balance. Like I say it all the time. I don't want to. I hate the term code switch when it comes to us being able to be like chameleons. You know what I mean? Like I can stand on the block and have a conversation with dude at the store, talk about some, yo, ma, I got that fire. And I can go and sit down in a corporate setting and have a conversation with, you know, CEOs and presidents of C-suite, C-level corporations. It's really just in knowing who I am. I wake up every morning, I look at my skin, I know I'm black. So you can't tell me just because of the diction in my voice that I'm not black, that subtracts the melanin that is in my skin. Like you can't.
A lot of people miss it though.
You can't tell me that. You can't tell me because I use proper adjectives and verbs and I know what an adverb is, that detracts from the fact that my ancestors, that my grandfather worked. You know, my grandfather was born in 1918 and came up here from Alabama, and he experienced Jim Crow. Well, because of his experiences, he put my mom in a position that I don't have to have those shared experiences with him.
Absolutely.
That don't make me any less black, though. And when the police pull me over, guess what I still am?
Blackity black.
All day. Yeah,
They don't care that they don't care that I can speak with perfect diction.
You ain't never lied. You ain't never lied. It's funny because I see a lot of, I don't know how much I see it now. It's not necessarily publicized, but there are those black people who try to disassociate from the ghetto or the have-nots. It's like, I have to have it. I got to be out here shining. They don't want to associate with those who don't.
They don't.
It's with the social media era, because it's such a highlight reel of life.
I feel blessed to not be one of those people. You know, Jesus didn't hang out with royalty. Jesus hung out with prostitutes, thieves. He hung out with the criminals. And if we are striving to be Christ-like, I can't turn my back on anybody.
Real rap.
You know, to disassociate myself from someone because they use Ebonics on a regular basis. You can learn something from any and everybody, from the bum on the corner to the CEO. So I have always lived by, don't be so concerned with the package that the message comes in. Be concerned with what the message itself is. Claire taught us stuff, you know?
For sure.
If anything, Claire taught us what not to do.
Absolutely.
You know? But everybody could have learned something from Claire. You can learn something from Tupac. You can learn something from you. These are our local neighborhood, you know? Can I have $1? You know what I mean? So we can either learn what to do or what not to do, but we cannot be so concerned with the wrapping paper that the gift of the message is coming in that we miss the gift.
For sure.
I think there's also a distinction between not associating and disassociating. Like, I don't feel like those are two completely polar opposites.
How would you
cannot associate with something. People may assume that you're not associated with it because you don't speak on it, or you may live a certain lifestyle to where it looks like you're turning your back on these people. Disassociating is kind of like drawing a line in the sand and saying that this is not what I'm doing. These are people that I'm not with anymore.
Broadcasting it?
Yeah, broadcasting it, and also your actions showing that you're not associating with them. You can not be around people, but you can still be helping out the hood. You may give money to this. You may donate to this foundation. Oh, y'all having a turkey giveaway. Let me supply all the turkeys and the toys that y'all giving away. But I'm not going to be there. That's not me disassociating with the hood. It's just me not being present.
And sometimes you can't be present.
Yeah.
And you know, and people talk about Benny. Oh, Benny cannot be present in the hood.
He can't be on
for
Montana
everything.
like he used to be.
He can't.
It's not smart.
But that is not him drawing a line in the sand saying, I don't have love for the hood anymore. It's saying, I I know my limitations. I know my boundaries, and my boundaries say somebody might try to clip me if I walk on Montana right now just for the notoriety of saying they clip Benny.
And like a non-verbal disassociation, just using that example, that would be Benny no longer rapping about anything that goes on in the hood, or him no longer rapping about his lifestyle that he lived back then. He's only currently going to be rapping about my time in LA, my time in Miami, being at this club, meeting this person. So that's what I would deem as like disassociating.
No, that's valid. Yeah, one of my favorite quotes, it touched on what you said. It was like, if you stare at my finger, you'll miss the glory of the moon. It's just like, it's not about the messengers, what they talking about. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I try to bring into like I'm an educator on a daily. That's something I try to bring in with kind of like with my attire. Like when kids see somebody like me, you can walk past me on the street. I have to walk past students on the street, but it's also I may come into school wearing my hoodie, wearing some sneakers. Like, yeah, you can see me out there and you can learn from me too.
That's my partner. You guys know Jay, Cassius Green. He teaches at Tapestry. And sometimes in the morning, he gets ready to go to work, and I'm like, you look like one of the kids. But it's also that relatability. So first and foremost, thank you for doing what you do, because we need more faces that these kids can relate to when they walk into the school. So thank you for doing that. And it's very important that they also see black men.
Absolutely.
And like you said, in a hoodie, you know what I mean? Instead of the first time they see, someone who looks like them and they're sitting across from them and they're in a suit because unfortunately they've gotten into trouble, you know, and this is now their public defender that's sitting across from them. To walk into school and have your administrators look like you, it's a sense of relief.
Absolutely.
I've heard it from these kids. I hear these kids scream, Mr. J, from across auditoriums, My daughter, before she got into high school, was at Buffalo Collegiate. We had Corey McCants. And to this day, she knows him from his walk. She's like, that's Uncle Corey. I said, how do you know? I know how he walks. And sure enough, it'd be him. But that was one of the selling points for the school. I walked in and Corey was at the front of the school. There was another young lady at the front of the school with an African print skirt, big old earrings on. I was like, oh yeah, this is where she going.
Needed. It's so needed. It's just like a subconscious reminder. It's just like, you are intelligent. You are accepted as yourself. And you can be successful by being yourself. And
you don't have to change who you are. You don't. I'm very big on show up who you are authentically as your best self. So when these kids see you, they see Jay, they see, may he dance in paradise, when they saw Rook, when they walked into, a workshop, when they see, YNX 716, he's doing mental health workshops, but he got bars. When they see Jillian Hainsworth, when they see an Itina Fareed Cook, it is confirmation that we are more than just entertainment and target practice for these kids. It is confirmation that being educated is cool. You can be cool and you can be smart. It is confirmation for these kids that you don't have to pick up a basketball. You don't have to tap dance. You don't have to shuck, jive, or lose who you are. So, man, representation matters.
For sure. You ain't got to pick up a gun to be seen.
That part.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's important that you look like them, but you're not trying to be like them. It's kind of like something like we talked about before the pod with the whole. So he asked me something. It was, what do you think of older men wearing like the Pooh Shiesty mask? You know what that is? Like the ski mask. So it's similar to that, to where it's like, yeah, you're dressed like them, but you're not walking around trying to be like a younger kid. It's like, I'm still gonna speak as an adult, but I just relate to you because I come from where you come from, and you can see that through my appearance.
No, absolutely.
More of an elevated or evolved version.
Yes. So if you are over the age of 19, the shiesty is not for you.
If it's cold outside, you can wear it.
You get you a knitted ski mask.
When we was referring,
No, not
You do not come out with no nylon shiesty on at 35 years. Don't do it.
That's more threatening.
in particular, we were referring to
you a
grown men
scarf.
using it as a style.
Get
A
a
style thing to you in the club.
Yeah.
You're trying to wear shiesty because that's the end thing. It's like to me that's lame as hell because you're trying to appeal to a younger generation when you could easily be yourself and still gain that same admiration and respect. There's a graduation level. There's a time where you don't want to show your face because of whatever you may be doing outside, and then there's a time where you get to an age where you can show your face because you're legit now. That's I feel like that's like the subconscious communication that's going on. And just for a funny story, I was leaving the store over by Lisbon and Maine, and I'm talking to Omari from Toonworks, and we're outside, we're chopping it up.
Oh my!
Yeah, I mean, so, Omri. So we chopping it up, and somebody rides by me on a bike, but like they're right here, and I'm like, what the fuck? And got the ski, got the shiesty on, and then maybe like 5 feet ahead of me, then they swerve, hit the little thing. I'm like, yo, I'm not about to get stained in my own neighborhood, like by some young dude. I put my bags down. I'm like, I'm pulling up my pants. I'm
You're
like,
ready.
Yeah. So all I hear is, "Hey, mister." I'm like, "Who is that?" He's like, "It's me." He says his name. It's one of my students.
And like we were saying, earlier, these kids, they're huge. They're
Yes.
13, 14, 15, but they're 5'9", 5'10", 6 feet, 200 pounds. And to the outside world, these are adults. But we know
Yes,
they're
we
babies. These are Trayvons.
Yes.
These are little Trayvon Martins in Buffalo, and you on high alert because you knocked him off his bike.
And it's just a simple thing. And it's just like, I feel like we're taught to almost fear our youth and not talk to them, not speak, and just almost like between that non-associating and disassociating, it's like, no, like these are our people. This is our community. It doesn't matter. They look spooky. You better go. You better speak.
Because a lot of times they're intimidated. They want to speak. Like, I guess this is about to age myself right now. I have a 6-year-old grandson. So I often ask the question, at what point is he going to go from, oh, he's so cute, to he's
Watch
a
him.
threat? And we know it's somewhere around 10, 11, 12 years old for young black boys.
Yeah.
So I make sure I speak to kids when I walk past them. Even if they don't speak back, I'm not going to take it personal. I don't know who raised them. So I'm speaking to these kids. I'm smiling at these kids when I walk past them. I live around the corner from Performing Arts and Da Vinci. So they're all over the place at 3 o'clock, Sometimes that's the only smile they get all day. Or they know they're going home to a hostile environment. We don't know what's happening with these kids. We don't know when they walk through the front door of their house, are they walking in to an open palm smack because they were supposed to be home at 3:05 and it's 3:07? We don't know. So I'm a firm believer in having conversations with the youth. I'm a firm believer in showing the youth respect. How do you want them to respect you when you don't give them an example?
Please.
I
call all my students Mr. Just
Jay calls all his students brother or sister, young brother so-and-so, sister such and such.
It goes such a long
I
way that people
apologize to
don't
my
even...
daughter. Like, I had those moments. I flip, come in here, do these dishes. And I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry. That was the wrong approach. Can you come do the dishes before I take the door off your But
there's so many like people our age that would love to hear that from a parent who've never heard that.
Take the room door off the hinges.
Just a simple apology of like, a simple
I apologize
apology
to my daughter when necessary. Absolutely. Because, and here's the thing, my kids are 10 years apart. So I have the kid that I was the quote unquote hard parent on. Like, he came in the house and almost lost all his ish because it was 2 boxes of cereal open. He like, who are you? I don't even know you anymore. And I'm like, I'm tired. Your sister can thank you for that. I pick and choose my battles now. I don't care about the cereal anymore. But it's as a parent, I can't demand that which I'm not giving to my child because I am their first example.
For sure.
I am the living, walking mirror for them to be reflected into. So if I'm being disrespectful to her because, oh, she's just a kid, then it's going to translate. She's going to be disrespectful to the next person she encounters. Mm-hmm. So I'm teaching her how to be respectful by respecting her. I respect her boundaries to her 15-year-old boundary point. I don't go through her phone, things of that nature. We have open conversations. We have open communication. And that translates to other relationships as well. But that's the one that I'm in the house with all the time. So, yeah, I apologize to my daughter. Yes, I hear her out. Right now, she's pleading her case to transfer high schools. And instead of giving her a flat out no, it's get me the details. Let's make an informed decision. I want her to be a part of these decisions. I don't have to walk into the school every day for the next 2 years. She does.
Mm-hmm. Word. Goes a long way.
And I can see the difference in the relationships that I have with my children based on the difference in the parenting styles. I was 19 when I had my son. I thought I needed to be hard on him. I thought that he acted up, swinging off was the way, to discipline him. And my relationship with him is vastly different than my relationship with my daughter. Even having the understanding, yes, they're different gender children, but even in the being able to apologize to her, listening, hearing her out instead of I'm the parent, it's my way or the highway. Like, that's my road dog. We in a space now where I'm like, yo, can my daughter come? No, I probably won't make it. I'm probably not coming either. Like, it's okay. Don't save a seat for me because I need my ex with me.
That's fire. No, that's real, man. I love hearing that because it's we losing recipes. And it's like that bridge needs to be there in order for her to have a clear line of communication where it's like their reference point with their parent isn't trauma or pain. Mm-hmm. It has to be where we can have a healthy conversation and function with each other in the same space. And I know from growing up that all black women don't get along with each other. A lot of black women that I've met throughout my life, they have that mother-daughter friction, and it's lovely and refreshing to hear.
Yeah, I've literally heard women call their daughters bees and out their name to their face. And that's heartbreaking to me. This person was inside of you for an extended period of time. This person is part of you. I honestly didn't love any of my own personal features, the features that sit on my face that I had been looking at for 30 years until I saw them in my daughter. I looked at her and began to love myself.
That's fine.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't have the understanding of looking at my daughter and being jealous of her, or looking at my daughter and feeling like she took something from me. My daughter saves my life every single day. And I mean, literally, she has physically saved me, pulled me out of a dark space. I was ready to say goodbye and end it all. Had a bottle of pills in my hand with a bottle of liquor in the other one. My phone rang and it was her. She had no clue. Hi, Mommy. Pills hit the floor. My reason was on the other end of that phone. How could I? How could I look at her and be like, oh, that's a B? No. That's a piece of me. An extension of me walking around her on this earth. That's probably going to give a few more years than I will to continue being an extension of me. If I hate her, then I hate myself. Can't do it.
Absolutely. And that knowledge itself is key, because it's like being able to identify yourself in that positively.
Oh, I hear myself when she talks.
Positively. It's so needed. Super needed. And that's one thing that I've watched you do since we've known each other, is you've provided what's needed with the directory.
Yo, you good, bro.
With the
I'm sitting here thinking like, all right, we gonna transition smooth.
with the directory. Can you describe what that is and what it all entails?
Absolutely. So, what I'm most known for is that Brown Bag Minority Business Directory. And so in 2018, scrolling on Facebook, and I saw a post, and it came from a good friend of mine, Charlie Watt from Club Natural. And he had put up a post like, we need a list of all the Black-owned businesses in Buffalo. And I took it as like a personal challenge. Heard you. Okay. Have been doing a lot of work in the underground. I don't even want to call it underground because that's the wrong term for it. In the Buffalo hip-hop scene, independent hip-hop scene. We are not underground. We done broke through the concrete. It's a wrap on the underground term. Mm-hmm. But working on something called the Dopeness Project. That's literally where it all kind of began. And finding that a lot of these artists were also business owners. And so get to this post, this Facebook post. I have been doing some work with 716 Live, shout out Jay Heat. And we were putting together like an events calendar, and then it kind of rolled over into, okay, this business is opening. And, we got the yellow pages, we got the white pages, and literally they're the white pages. And I felt like it was an opportunity for me to carve out a space that was specific to us, for us, leaning into our history, leaning into the Green Book. And so it started out as just Buffalo, stapled across the top, 3 staples, little folded over Excel spreadsheet, literally just don't print the grid lines. And it has now evolved into a full-fledged movement. So the Brown Bag now encompasses Buffalo, Niagara Falls, Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, Toronto, with sites on expanding with each iteration. We're going into volume 8, and I'm turning it into a supplier diversity portal, whereas we can amplify the Black-owned businesses that are doing good work and put them on Front Street in front of corporations. So being able to put a Rada Bakes in front of ECMC, and ECMC then contracting with Rada Bakes for their baked goods to be in the gift shop for the next 3, 5, 10 years. Putting a Blanc photography in front of the Buffalo Niagara Partnership and saying, this is your corporate photographer for all the headshots that you need to run through here. So now, versus sending your individual consumer, which is fine and dandy, I'm still doing that. But what I want to do is I want to make these relationships bigger, more beneficial, and more financially and fiscally sound for these business owners so that they stay in business and we go from surviving to thriving.
Absolutely.
Put a no label the podcast in front of whoever we end up in front of.
Just from what are your thoughts on the? I've been seeing a lot of posts about the Target boycott and because of the DEI stuff. Have you guys been like kind of like pushing and like off the tail of that because people are looking for that diversity?
So I think this is kind of like a new wave. So the support our own, buy Black, it ebbs and flows. There's waves of it. It's always there and it's ever present, but there are certain times, incidents, occasions that will make the wave a little bit bigger. So for me, George Floyd was a huge wave that made it bigger than, the multitude of other lives that were lost leading into, the ramping up of the Black Lives Matter. So now, today, we're talking about Target, Amazon, Walmart, so on and so forth, and this boycott. And we've seen a boycott work, Montgomery. However, this is a different time. This is a different age. So a one-day boycott, in theory, wonderful. Yay, we're going to hit them where it hurts for one day. However, what I was finding was people were either going to shop the day before or the day after, which really offset the boycott. Mm-hmm. What we need is more than just a one-day change. We need a lifetime pivot. So we now need to just really redirect where our dollars go, period. So when we're talking about, instead of going into Target, and I've got Tabitha Brown pots in my house that I purchased from Target. Well, now I'm going to redirect my dollars. I'm going to redirect those dollars directly to Tabitha Brown's website. I'm going to wait a couple extra days to get my pot in the mail because I now know that my dollars are going directly to her. Mm-hmm. I'm going to redirect my dollars directly to the Do website because I know that that is a Black-owned hair care line. Okay, I'm going to wait an extra day to get it, but I know that my dollars are going directly to them. We need to create our own pipelines. We need to create our own supply chains. And they exist, but now we need to amplify them. Absolutely. That brown bag is technically a supply chain. Mm-hmm. So now we need to ensure that individuals are utilizing said supply chain. And as we amplify and utilize it, these quote unquote small Black-owned businesses now begin to grow. And now we can take the term small business from in front of their term. And they can then begin to compete with your Targets, your Amazons, your Walmarts. And in the meantime, we double down on those who have now doubled down on their DEI efforts. So instead of focusing on taking away from Target, let's focus on doubling down on Costco. Everybody, and I get it, Costco's in Rochester, but guess who owns Sam Club? Walmart. So we double down and everybody gets a Costco membership. Costco then comes to Buffalo, which I believe is in the works and in the plan for us to get a Costco.
Yeah, I feel like I seen something.
But let's, instead of focusing on what the negative is, Walmart's doing X, Y, and Z. Well, then where can we positively deposit our funds then? A one-day boycott is all fine and dandy, again, in theory, but everybody went to Starbucks. Then if the boycott was on Friday, everybody went to Starbucks on Thursday, and everybody got their gas on Saturday.
Hey, Chantel, I told people the same thing, and they said I just wasn't a part of the movement.
Well, I guess I'm not a part of it either because, I mean, mind you, I participated. I live by the support our own, so
yeah.
It's a daily practice for me. I don't go to Target for real, unless I absolutely have to. I don't go to Starbucks. I live around the corner from Golden Cup. Why am I going to Starbucks? You know what I mean? So it is also in the awareness. If people know where the alternatives are and where they exist at, then we've now removed the excuse. And once you're aware, you can't become unaware. You can't unlearn something. So once you know, are you putting that knowledge to practical application? I know where I can go and get legit Black-owned toilet paper. I know where I can go and get Black-owned light bulbs. Like, I know where I can go get that from. And it's also on me to share that knowledge as well. So that's what the directory is about. It's sharing a wealth of knowledge and information.
How often is the directory updated?
It is, so the online directory is almost real time. So if a business owner is submitting right now, what we're doing is we're immediately uploading. I'm validating. There's an attestation. You can't tell me that you're a Black-owned business and then I find out that you're owned by the Corleone family. But after that vetted process is over, the profile shows up on the website immediately. The hard copy publication is printed on an annual basis, so that, of course, lasts for that 365 days. But the hard copy publication is also intended to be a community resource as well. So while we have the business information in there, there's also Buffalo history, Black Buffalo history. There's, pages about Tiffany Gaines in there. She's youngest first Black curator over at Birchfield Penny. There's a page on Jillian Hainsworth, our first poet laureate, talking about the Colored Musicians Club, talking about the Michigan Avenue Corridor, the Nash House. Buffalo was founded by a Black man. But they don't want to tell us, They don't talk to us about our history. They would love us to believe that...
What's his name?
That was Buffalo... John Black. Black John Black... I will look it up. Don't make me lie to you. That is not how this relationship works.
Put it in the comments.
Right. But I will confirm that for you. But my goal is to leave a mark and a legacy that amplifies what we are, the magic that we are. You turn on the news and it's always the east side of Buffalo, and it's always a detrimental statement behind it. So let's Let's change that narrative. Let's talk about everything that is good on the east side of Buffalo. That's on Jefferson, and I do not subscribe to East Buffalo.
Whoa, it's
either.
East
Please
Buffalo
stop.
now, Chantel. East Buffalo now.
Not in my book. I live on the east side.
Heard you.
I live in Cold Spring. I live on the east side. I live in the hood. I live in the hood.
In the hard copy, when does that go out?
Juneteenth,
Okay.
because that's my Independence Day. So, and the hard copy comes out paperback or hardcover. So you get that option, but the hardcover always feels like a coffee table book for me. It is meant for you to hold on to it, no matter how, if the information in it, as far as the listings become outdated, the other information that is listed within it is timeless. There's information on Adinkra symbols. There's information on chakras. There's information on wellness. There's information on Kundalini. Things of that nature also are included in the directory because I feel like one of my life purposes is to leave some type of healing behind. So, we've got the directory itself, and I just recently released a little mini piece of the directory, and it is all clinicians of color, mostly mental health. So just really wanting to leave a mark with this directory that says we were here, we did good work, and it was more than just sports and rap.
Love that.
And they can purchase it online only?
They can go, right now, they have copies of the most recent edition inside of the Michigan Street Corridor, their gift shop, the Niagara Falls Heritage Underground Railroad, their gift shop in Niagara Falls. It is available on my website, which is brownbagcertified.com, and it is also available on Amazon.
Fire.
And why the name Brown Bag?
So
Now, is it just Brown Bag or that Brown Bag?
that brown bag,
Okay, so why that name?
fab, throw it in the bag. And it's a couple things. Fab, throw it in the bag. The brown paper bag test from Jim Crow. And then even leading back to Fab and my son, at the time when I was trying to figure out what I was going to call it, he was always talking about, Mom, I'm about to go and get to the bag, get to the bag, get to the bag. And so that brown bag kind of evolved, and it has several meanings, behind it. And that brown paper bag test really being one of the driving forces behind it. If you put your hand up to a brown paper bag, it would tell whether or not you could pass. And that was, again, that Willie Lynchifying us. And I really wanted to kind of destigmatize colorism between us. Black business is black business, whether or not it's a light-skinned black business owner or a dark-skinned black business owner. It's black business.
Absolutely. You also have a lounge, like right across from Vice. What's the name?
Natural. NTRL. So it's like a little collective, little speakeasy space that we put out a lot of different events, listening parties. We have poetry night on Mondays down there. It's kind of like if you know type of spot, because we're losing a lot of our venues, and a lot of our venues we have lost due to our own behavior.
For sure.
So it's one of them places like if you come in here cutting up, I might take my belt off and whoop you, like in those spaces. So we're trying to preserve. I've been saying it since we lost the Pink and Mulligan's, which really wasn't even one of our spaces. But I say it, we have to protect our venues, protect Milky's, protect Nietzsche's, protect Amy's Place, because these are the places that are allowing us to come in and be us. Fitz Books and Waffles, that allows for the Vibe Garden to be, in his back space. We have to protect the spaces that allow us to come in and be us.
Word.
So yeah, we definitely got that down there. We do Taco Tuesdays.
Come on.
Vegan tacos. Like I had a burrito taco, dipped it in the juice, and did not realize until she was like, that's mushrooms, that I was not eating meat.
No.
So yeah,
that's my bag too. So I definitely gotta get down there on a Tuesday and get some tacos.
And it's a 420 friendly venue.
Fire.
So yes, you can definitely light up the fire.
Yeah, oh yeah. Y'all may want to book some events there for sure.
Yes, yeah. Hit me up. Let me know. Slide in my DMs.
Would they go to the That Brown Bag Certified.com?
They can actually go. They hit me up on the socials for that, so you can actually come to Shantelle Lynette on Facebook or Brown Bag Ladee 2 E's on Instagram.
Okay. Absolutely. No, that's super dope.
Yeah, we have a good time in there. It's a collective, like-minded individuals. A lot of creatives come through, and we're just able to kind of like create a little bit of magic and synergy from one another. Actually, I'll be doing a paint party in there. We do paint puff and sips, so we'll be doing textured pieces. These pieces are gonna pop off the wall. We'll see how this works with people lighting up and in the space. But we just did one for Valentine's Day. We did brushstrokes and love notes for Valentine's Day. It was led by who I refer to as my better half, Cassius Green. He did his thug thizzle in there, and so now it's my turn. I'm gonna instruct this go around, and like I said, this just the season of just having fun and being creative and doing what we want.
Love that. I love that.
I had a question about 716 Live, I believe it is.
Yep.
So what exactly was your role with that?
Actually, I was really in there more on a learning basis. I did the events calendar, but Jay Heat, man, shout out to Jay Heat. He taught me. He was just teaching me. He taught me video editing, which I have now discovered and learned. I don't want to do it. I will pay, I know how to, but I will pay somebody else to do it. But he gave me that fundamental. He, showed me how to use WordPress, when it first dropped. And, he just gave me a lot of insight. I did a couple interviews, some on-air interviews on behalf of 716 Live. Did some press stuff, helped out with video shoots and things of that nature. So it was really an opportunity that I took to really just learn from who I refer to as like one of the GOATs, because Jay Heat is a beast. Everything he touches turns to gold, man. I'm just waiting on him to decide what he wants to do next, and I will support him all day.
Fire.
Now, because I don't think I ever was around for that part of it. 716 Live, Miles told me about it, Nelson told me a little bit about it. So what exactly was 716 Live, and when did it stop?
They were another multimedia outlet, so you would catch them throwing events, at events, press, covering events, different shows online, interviews, podcast type of deal as well at the very beginning. And so that was probably around 2014, 15, 16-ish. I think Jay Heat took a little bit of a hiatus around 2017, 2018. Made a little bit of a resurgence about a year or two ago, and I think he's just really trying to figure out what the structure of 716 Live is going to be going forward. But yeah, he was and is a Buffalo staple for Buffalo hip hop.
Right.
Yeah.
Love that.
I feel like he kind of is like our ancestor. Like he sparked off his sneak vibings. I think, he sparked off a lot of other avenues that have come out of the Buffalo scene that are supporting hip hop because they saw him do it, and they saw him do it with such a passion that it kind of just became infectious, and other people wanted to do it. I know I did.
Word.
No, we gotta connect with him.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He is a beast, man, and he got bars. Don't let him tell you he don't. He got bars.
Yeah, we definitely got to get him up here. Yeah, document that Buffalo history for sure, for sure.
I mean, please, I was just saying the other day, I was saying tomorrow, I found all of our original Friday Night Cypher footage from 2017, 2016. Mario's and some of that looking like somebody's extra little brother. But that was, that's where I met Mario. That was where I met a lot of, these connections that I have to this day. That's where I met Genesis, and shout out to Genesis.
Shout out to
and
Genesis.
Meeting Prophet, and you know what I mean? Just really doing, and when we first started doing the FNC, it was like, yo, we're in this alley, pull up. You got bars, drop them. We're at Trend Up, shout out Gio. When he was inside of the Market Arcade, he was opening his doors, letting us come in, put on ciphers, so it's ingrained. Hip hop saved my life, and so it's always going to be tied into what I do. And working with 716 Live was definitely one of those those bridges and those connectors that led us into what we're doing today.
Dope.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So we have a top 5 segment too.
Okay.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory, right? So, what are your 5 favorite things about Buffalo? Personal favorite things.
Personal
about
favorites.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Architecture.
Facts. Underrated.
Yeah, architecture. Food, and I do not mean chicken wings. The amount of different cultural palettes that can be touched just by going down Elmwood alone is crazy in Buffalo. Buffalo sound, and it's not just hip hop, just Buffalo music sound all the way around. From our R&B singers to our MCs to our EDMs, we have a distinctive Buffalo sound. So that's 3.
Shout out to Push Fest.
Yep. Art, Buffalo art, the art that comes out of Buffalo. And oddly enough, it is one of the reasons why I'm going to end up leaving Buffalo, but can't get it anywhere else. This fool-ass snow.
The snow was one of your favorite things?
It is one of my favorite things, probably for the first 2 days. And the first 2 days of snow. But in addition to that, it's the people, too. And the people that I have been able to surround myself with. Man, Buffalo is a tribe. And when you are in the flow of the tribe, going out to events, like, stopping out at Luna Lounge is like Thanksgiving at my grandma's house. I'm hugging everybody because everybody's my cousin in here. So, yeah. So, the snow for the first 2 days, and then the people, they take that last slide up.
That's fire.
So, do you think of any buildings in particular when you say architecture?
Central Terminal. And I mean, like, going into Central Terminal, City Hall, going into City Hall and looking up at the ceilings of City Hall. Millionaire's Row, so all the houses that sit in the Delaware, Nottingham, that area, even down to like AKG, the original building from the art gallery. The additions are beautiful, but that original building is gorgeous. The Nash House, which is downtown in the Michigan Avenue corridor. And then just the history. Yeah. Johnny B. Wiley.
You know what I'm saying? We got the Frank Lloyd Wright joint.
Yeah.
We got
the Darren Martin House.
We got incredible architecture.
Let's talk about the Merriweather Library. If you have the opportunity, whether it's by drone or you can hover over it, it's an African village when you look at it from an aerial view. The Merriweather Library is entirely comprised of circles.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. All of the outer walls are circular. There's Adinkra symbols on the door handles of the building. I think that might be one of my favorite buildings in the city is the Merriweather Library.
Shout out to the Jefferson area. Absolutely.
Fact.
Yeah, Buffalo is a gem. It's a gem, and it's like if you don't travel, you don't get to see the real beauty of like what you have in front of you.
I say it all the time. People say, "Oh, there's nothing to do in Buffalo," and I'm like, "How, Sway?
It's a whole lot to do when it's warm.
Even when it's cold."
Then nobody want to go outside when it's cold.
Well, that's a them problem because I'm talking about it was snowing and I was over at AKG because Viscera Omar and Latina Gina was performing with a gang of us at AKG. You know what I'm saying? Like there's things to do in Buffalo, and there's things to do that don't necessarily always require it to be a party. People don't realize the first Friday of every month, every single art gallery in the city opens their doors for free. That's Allen, all the galleries on Allen, Birchfield Penny, AKG, all those galleries you can walk into at no cost the first Friday of every month. Get you some culture.
Come on.
Get you some culture.
Tap in.
Everything don't have to be a party, or figure out how to party the right way. I go down to Lucky Day in the whiskey bar, and there's a live band, and it's us. It's Rob Bonner. It's flute on the drums, getting it in. Doesn't necessarily have to be a turn up. And I think that's when people say there's nothing to do in the cities, because every time you turn up, it's not a turn up. But your energy determines whether or not it's a turn up.
For sure.
All right.
That's real rap.
I'm a mood.
You mentioned in your directory, you talk about things like Kundalini, chakras, Dinker symbols. Those are also topics that we've covered in our Third Eye segment. Where did you first learn about those things, and how did they impact you?
Chakras is always, something that you hear. Honestly, Avatar.
Yes.
Honestly,
yes.
Avatar.
Yes.
I just seen Avatar for the first time 2 weeks ago.
You talking about the movie or the animated
or the
series?
cartoon.
Oh no, I'm talking about the movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
we talking about the animated series.
So in the anime series,
The Guru does an amazing job of describing what chakras are, going through each one, and how to clear blockages and all that.
The Last Airbender.
Incredible.
And then diving deeper, honestly, I'm gonna attribute it to my man. He definitely, listen, if you can't learn from your partner, that's not your partner.
Word.
And so, really watching him go deep within, and it's not like, oh, I want to do it too, but it was like, he's the head. If he's doing something and I'm finding that it's enriching himself, I should at least, at the very least surface level, educate myself on it. And so following his lead took me down the rabbit hole as well. Now I walk around, I got crystals in my bra, my pocket. We talk about, I do somatic yoga to, release energies and things of that nature, and really working on clearing, and opening up each of the chakras. He taught me that my throat chakra was blocked. My heart chakra was wide open. Throat shut up like a it was sewn up tight. So definitely I definitely attribute a lot of the growth and a lot of the learning to my partner.
That's fine.
Don't tell him that though. Like,
Hopefully he watches this.
we gonna cut this part.
He won't see it. Nah, that's super fire. It's things like that. Like when I learned about those type of things, I was studying like a lot of the, if I say early 90s, like people were like 125th, like speakers like Bobby Hibbett, Phil Valentine, and Steve Coakley. And one thing that Steve Coakley spoke on, he would talk about like black economics and stuff like that, but he also spoke on something called the Boule. And in the Boule, it talked about, they separated themselves in terms of disassociation. He talked about the Boule would kind of be a group of black people, a fraternal order that would, okay, we're the black, I don't say black excellence, but like the talented 10th. And we're going to, do everything white people say. We're going to be better at being white than
White people themselves.
White people themselves. So are you familiar with that? And
surface level. So I haven't gone down the rabbit hole of it, but I am familiar.
Yeah. My question would be is, from your experience, how much pushback do you get from, let's say, black people who try to disassociate from black people with the have-nots? There's kind of like the elite blacks, and then there's the everyone else. Have you experienced that? Have you experienced pushback from black people who were like, oh, we don't want to associate with you because you kind of encompass everybody and we only care about the elites?
Not necessarily in that regards. I've had business owners say, I don't necessarily want to only box myself in and say I'm just a black owned business. But nobody has been like, oh, I don't want to work with you, or I'm not going to put my business in the directory or things of that nature because you're only working with this particular sector of individuals. What I have gotten is, well, why black-owned business? And I'm like, well, I've been black for 40-something years. What you mean? But, why not black and brown businesses? Well, again, I've been black for 40-some-odd years. I've never woken up Puerto Rican, Mexican, Dominican. Like, I've never woken up any of those. So, but for the most part, the response has been positive. We need this. Thank you. You do get occasionally here just, why black-owned businesses, like the comments in a Channel 7 post on, a Buffalo News post on Facebook. Sometimes you'll get some of those comments, but I know that the work that I'm doing has a greater purpose than any negative comment anywhere.
Absolutely. Have you ever been, or I can say have you ever been because it's obvious, but what would you say was your biggest spiritual test on this journey with the directory and your businesses? And
not quitting. This was not something that I entered into. It was never a thought I can get rich doing this. If that was a thought, I would have quit 7.5 years ago. So, for the most part, up until just recently, this has been a completely self-funded organization, project, directory, printing out of pocket every year, recouping funds. So getting up every day and going, I'm going to sit down at this laptop and I'm going to do it again today, where I could, on any given day, sit down at this laptop and log in for somebody else and just collect a paycheck. For a long time, I did both. I was logged in for my job from 9 to 6 with my laptop on the side doing stuff I ain't had no business doing on the clock for myself. So, yeah, getting up every day and continuing to do it.
Absolutely. And my last question is our last comment. I've been seeing these clips been going on. I forgot the name of the podcast. I think it's like Eat Grits or something like that. But but it's a guy. He speaks on a lot of the conscious community that was with associated with black people, and he speaks about how a lot of them are kind of in the clouds in terms of they're studying Kundalini, chakras, Anunnaki, aliens, and stuff like that, but they're forgetting to do the groundwork in terms of, let's say, supporting black businesses, opening the business, conducting yourself, getting in the game. You know what I'm saying? What are your thoughts on it? And do you think there's a place for those people who want to research and tap into those higher knowledges versus, or balancing it, I don't say versus, but balancing it with the groundwork of supporting black businesses, uplifting your community?
I think a lot of times when we are learning new things, we're expanding our consciousness, we become so excited about that which we are learning that we forget what we already know. And so sometimes it's just in waiting for the glitz to wear off from that new thing to remind us what it was we were supposed to be doing in the first place. I think that you have to be conscious, you have to be aware, you have to be enlightened in order to understand the importance that goes into movements like the Brown Bag, movements like For Grieving Daughters, movements like Project Mona's House. Because without awareness, you have no clue why it is you're supporting, what it is you're supporting. You're just there. You're just a body. Finding the balance is difficult. We do go down rabbit holes. We get lost. We do it every day just with mindless scrolling. So now we found something that has purpose behind it. We want to learn and absorb everything that there is to do with it. But again, I think as with everything else, there's ebbs, there's flows. So we will have those moments when we're deep dive, and a lot of times we're doing one of two things. We're creating or we're experiencing. Mm-hmm. So maybe, someone's not doing that support. They're not actively boots on the ground. Well, maybe because right now they're experiencing, so that when they are putting their feet back to the ground, they have a foundation from which to draw from. We don't know where someone is within their journey when we encounter them.
For sure. Absolutely. And I see it a lot now where it's like a lot of YouTube scholars and TikTok, you know what I'm saying?
YouTube scholars.
Where they just think, I heard this in a minute and a half. I know this now. I got to go tell somebody. And versus like, no, like.
That was the very tip of the iceberg. And if you didn't learn nothing from the Titanic, there is more beneath the surface.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's something I want our audience and people just to keep in mind in general, where it's just like, take your time, do your own research. It's not a race. I made the mistake of thinking that, I'm learning about this stuff kind of late. I need to catch up. You're right on time.
Mm-hmm. And I tell people all the time, Google is just the first layer. Mm-hmm. Go to your public library because your public library has access beyond the paywall that Google stops at. Mm-hmm. Google's going to give you what Google wants you to see. Mm-hmm. But if you are truly on a quest for knowledge to actually have the facts, open a book. Mm-hmm. When they say you want to hide something from one of us, put it in a book.
It's a fact.
Find that book that's out of print.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I drove 3 hours. I drove 3 hours to Cornell to get a book for what? A couple pages?
Yep. I have a book.
What book, bruh?
Sako Mao. It's about animal totems. Monkeys in particular. Shout out to the flying monkeys.
I have this book. It's two of them. It's From Niggas to Gods. And I had part 1 and part 2. Well, I could find part 2. Could not find part 1 in my house. So I refused to read part 2 until I found part 1.
You know who wrote it?
Akil. I know it's Akil. Well, no, but now I found it. I found it under my daughter's bed. So but yeah, reading is so fundamental. Reading, research, really not taking the first piece of information that you are given at face value. Like you have to ask questions. Why is a valid question? Why not is a valid question. But stopping at Google or that when Facebook says what's on your mind, Facebook is not Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is not accurate.
For sure.
Learned that early on.
You learned that with your first grad paper. You're like, oh, that's not a proper citation.
Where you just made me think of it was a great documentary I saw. I want to say it was From Niggas to Niggas by Eugene Adams, I believe. African origins of Asia. Incredible documentary. Tap into that. It's on YouTube. That's just one for the audience. What's the best way to get in contact with you and stay in touch and get the book?
Instagram is my vehicle. So That Brown Bag or Brown Bag Ladee, 2 E's. Brown Bag Ladee is my personal. That Brown Bag is the business. But you can catch me on either. That's definitely going to be the best way to reach me. The website is brownbagcertified.com. That denotes that these businesses that you are looking at on the website have the stamp of approval from us. I like to think of the Brown Bag as the Better Business Bureau, but a Black-owned business. So definitely want you to make sure that you tap in there. And that's where you can kind of see what all the businesses are doing. I reshare, sales, events, grand openings, grand closings, things of that nature. You'll find it all over, both on Instagram and Facebook pages there. And then you see me in the streets. I'm not unapproachable. Wave. I hug. I'm a hugger.
Love that. And what's the address for your lounge?
41 West Tupper.
41 West Tupper. Right across from Vice.
Right across from Vice.
Yeah,
we can see when the people at Vice be cutting up. We know we can see the lights through the window. We can definitely see it, and we go, glad that ain't us. Close the door back up.
Word. Thank you.
Thank you.
definitely. Is there anything else you want to let us know or leave with us before we close out?
Man, just make sure that you support your Black-owned businesses. That circulates the dollar back into the community in which they are living, thriving, and working in. And it is always going to be all about currency for the culture.
Absolutely.
It's a fact. And go ahead and check out our previous conversation with Shantelle at Buffalo. You can find that on YouTube as well. We appreciate you.
Likewise, and as I tell them all, I love you, Black man, and I am grateful you exist.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for you as well. No Label the Pod, we out.
Peace.